Hello everybody and welcome back to another edition of the Xcess podcast. It's actually been quite a while since the last one. The last one was the fallout from the 2015 Royal Rumble pay-per-view about 2 weeks ago. And in this one, we're going to be doing the fallout for the NXT Takeover Rival special that aired on the WWE Network February 11th. It is the next day as of recording this podcast, so if you're listening to this 3 weeks, 3 years in the future, then we're going to be talking about NXT Takeover, probably one of the best programs WWE has today, NXT. There's little, if anything, negative to say about NXT week in and week out. It is absolutely amazing how they can produce such an amazing show, how Triple H, Dusty Rhodes, and the entire crew of NXT can put together a very, very special and unique 1 hour product week in and week out when the main roster, creative, Vince, everybody can't do that with 4 shows and, 7 hours weekly? I don't know how that's possible, but, NXT is every WWE fan's crown jewel, in my opinion, and it's fantastic week in, week out. Again, if anything, it's very little negative you can say about NXT, so we're gonna get to TakeOver. TakeOver shows, now they're all TakeOver, so basically it's in your house, for those unfamiliar with NXT specials. The first one was called NXT Arrival. NXT Arrival, it doesn't matter how you pronounce it, but NXT Arrival was last February, so it's been a full year, pretty much, since the NXT special started on the network. And to think how far NXT has come since then, the main event of the first NXT special live on the WWE Network was Adrian Neville challenging Bo Dallas for the NXT Championship in a ladder match. That was around a year ago. We're not quite there yet, about another week or so until we reach the official 1-year anniversary of TakeOver starting, of NXT specials, starting. But to go from Adrian Neville versus Bo Dallas in a ladder match for the NXT Championship to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship, outstanding and amazing. NXT, it's great. Enough fanboying about NXT. Well, I'm still gonna fanboy about NXT while talking about TakeOver here. But NXT TakeOver, pretty much NXT TakeOver started in May, when they did the first TakeOver last year, and it was just called NXT TakeOver. Then they moved on to NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way, then NXT TakeOver Our Evolution, and now this one that just occurred, NXT TakeOver Rival. So I found it pretty cool that they reused the Arrival logo and just put the NXT logo on top of it. It was really, of the AR part, was really cool. So NXT TakeOver Rival, probably one of the most hyped shows, and it sure did deliver. We'll get to that in just a second here. So we started out with a new match being added. It started out with the new match that was added to the card. After last week's episode of NXT, they had a segment air where Hideo Itami was being interviewed by a new guy, I think his name is Greg, backstage at NXT, and Tyler Breeze attacked Hideo Itami, and this was after Hideo lost to Finn Balor in the NXT Championship number 1 contenders tournament, and Hideo Itami defeated Tyler Breeze to advance to that match. So Tyler Breeze was visibly upset that Hideo blew his opportunity to be the NXT champion. I don't know. But Tyler was saying he could have beat Finn Balor, and, So anyway, the match was made, and to kick off TakeOver here, I found it to be a pretty good match. Of course, like always, every week now, it's, I guess, a running gag that they're gonna tease Hideo Itami hitting the GTS. And, the crowd I think this was the most insane the crowd's ever been for the GTSTs. The day when he finally hits the GTS is going to be outstanding. The roof is probably going to explode off of the place. It pretty much exploded just with the T's last night. So when he finally hits it, I assume it's going to be some really, really big match that he's going to hit it. You know, I would say it would be a title match, like for a title, that he would hit it. But I mean, if he's going to pull out all the stops in order to get to the NXT Championship one day, you'd think he'd bust out a big move like the GTS to get to that point. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But when he finally hits it, I know everybody's gonna be happy about that. The innovator of the GTS, probably what many consider to be the original and better GTS, Hideo Itami defeating Tyler Breeze in a pretty good matchup to kick off Takeover. I actually enjoyed this match. A really good match. A lot of people I saw on Twitter saying they didn't really have good chemistry. I think if they got a little bit more time and had a couple more matches, their chemistry would connect more in those people's eyes. But I thought the chemistry they had in this match was fine for what it was. I mean, this was basically it was only their second match, but their first on a bigger stage than usual. So I think if they maybe went one or two more matches, I think that they would have enough chemistry to one day have like a feud over a title, the NXT Championship, for example. I even said that on Twitter last night after the match, that I'd love to see these two tackle, have a match for the championship. I think it would be interesting. A bigger prize would be on the line, and they'd pull out even more stops than they did last night, so it is what it is. The match was good, as I said, in my opinion. Obviously, other people have different opinions, as I alluded to, but it is what it is. Alright, so the next match, probably the sleeper match. Not as in sleeper match of the night, no. Probably the match that put everybody to sleep. I saw a lot of jokes about that, so I had to just use it myself. Baron Corbin versus Bull Dempsey in a no disqualification match. Now, I don't get what the deal with them not being behind Bull Dempsey is, because I actually like Bull Dempsey. I actually do like Bull Dempsey, and I want to root for the heel. I mean, it's odd. They want people to cheer for the babyface, but Corbin doesn't seem like a babyface to me. Bull Dempsey seems like an underdog babyface against Baron Corbin, so in that situation, I'd rather root for Bull Dempsey. I don't get it. I really don't know why they're not putting over Bull. I predicted that Bull would win this match. Because obviously weapons would be involved, yada yada yada. He could get the upper hand with that, which would make him more heelish, since he would have to use weapons in order to win. But, they really didn't even bust out any weapons at all until the very end, until the finish, where Bull Dempsey grabbed a steel chair and he went to swing at Corbin, and Corbin countered into the end of days. I don't know why they're not having Bull get put over. I mean, Baron Corbin is a pet project for Triple H. He's probably going to be one of the next guys they'll try to push, a la Roman Reigns, when he eventually moves on to the main roster and, get some steam under his belt. But, I don't know. I mean, I liked Baron Corbin in the beginning, but they haven't really shown many signs of progression for his character. He's basically the same guy. Just give us something a little bit more different, and I think it'd be okay and more comfortable with Baron Corbin at NXT, but, Corbin went over Bull Dempsey, a lot of people got put to sleep, a lot of people went to the bathroom, a lot of people made extra snacks, stuff like that. It was too short for, even for them, it was too short for Baron and, Bull. It was shorter than, obviously not as short as their other matches, but still, I wanted to only get like 5 minutes, I think? I don't know, it's crazy. But then we move on to the NXT Tag Team Championship match, Blake and Murphy, or BAM, taking on the Lucha Dragons, who are trying to get back their championships. Blake and Murphy went over, retaining their titles. I'm actually really glad, I've mentioned this before on Twitter, but I'm really glad that Blake and Murphy are in the position they are in right now. I mean, it came out of nowhere, which is good. That's something we really don't have too often in wrestling. Lots of stuff, obviously, with the internet is either leaked or already spoiled ahead of time, but this was out of nowhere. Blake and Murphy captured the NXT Tag Team Championships from the Lucha Dragons, and nobody really expected it. It just happened with like a snap of a finger, and that's what makes NXT amazing, because stuff like that can happen. Obviously, though, it aired on a taped show, so it did get spoiled, but still, I mean, there were no hints that Blake and Murphy were going to actually win the titles. You thought, okay, it's just another defense for the Lucha Dragons ahead of whoever they're going to face at the next takeover. But no, surprise, surprise, Blake and Murphy won the titles, and I actually enjoyed that. They've been used as enhancement talents for other teams in the past. The Lucha Dragons even have gone over them, I think, 3 times since they won the tag titles. But still, it's amazing that they're going to be putting focus on a new tag team like this. And I'm interested to see if another new tag team will eventually emerge, and we have a really fresh new feud for the tag team titles. Obviously, well, not obviously, it actually was surprising seeing a few botches from the Luchadors here, Sin Cara and Kalisto, but they really weren't too faulty of them. It just kind of happens. Everything can be rehearsed, but still, sometimes stuff happens, so. But there were a few botches, but nonetheless, Blake and Murphy did retain the titles. Really close, actually, though. I thought it was an okay tag match. Obviously, not the best tag match these two teams have done together, but still, it was good for what it was. And then, towards the end, actually right at the end, after Blake and Murphy retained the titles, there was a bit of a glitch in the broadcast, and apparently the takeover of NXT continues next week. They're actually taping more episodes tonight at Full Sail University, and obviously we've seen it for the last few weeks now. Solomon Crow, formerly known as Sami Callihan, finally going to be arriving at NXT. Long overdue. I even joked about this on Twitter, that his basically 2-year-long journey of working dark matches before the TV tapings is finally going to end tonight, and it's actually pretty crazy. I'm looking forward to seeing how Solomon Crow works and transitions onto TV. It should be interesting. I kind of wonder who they'll throw him in a feud with to begin. Maybe Hideo Itami? I don't really know. But I think they're going to do at least one more Breeze Itami match. Maybe Crow interrupts the match or costs Itami a rematch, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see. I'm very interested to see how Solomon Crow transitions over. So next week, aka tonight, but next week for TV, Solomon Crow takes over. So Blake and Murphy retain the tag titles, and now we get on to probably the better matches of the night. We had Finn Balor versus Adrian Neville in the number 1 contenders match for the NXT Championship. The winner will take on the winner of the match we'll get to later, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship. So, the war paint returned for Finn Balor. A lot of people were actually very upset that the paint wasn't different for Balor, but I mean, they did produce 2 t-shirts with the war paint that he wore. You think WWE's gonna pull a John Cena with Finn Balor and release a new shirt for every war paint design he does? I don't think so. Finn Balor is probably gonna change it up a little bit here and there, but the principle of it, the demon, basically, Black Spider-Man. I forget the official name. It's interesting, too, considering Spider-Man's back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Venom. There we go, Venom, I think. I don't pay attention too much. It's been way too long since I watched that Spider-Man movie and paid attention to comics. But nonetheless, this isn't about entertainment, movies, TV. This is about the NXT number one contendership for the NXT Championship. Finn Balor, Adrian, Neville. Excellent match. Really, really excellent. Excellent all around. Really intense spots in this match. Especially Balor coming off the top rope and hitting the foot stomp to the back of the head of Adrian Neville. Oh my goodness, that looked scary. And really close false finish, but bravo to these two gentlemen, Balor and Neville. They did an excellent job during this match. Finn Balor went over. He's the number one contender for the NXT Championship. I don't see any negative from this match. The matches that we've mentioned previously, you can see a lot of negative in those matches, but I think pretty much this number one contenders match was flaw-free. And that is very, very good. Very, very good. Excited to see Finn Balor as the number one contender. It's going to be interesting, especially considering who he's going to be facing for the championship and how that will work out. We'll get to that in just a second, but probably what I would consider the second match of the night, the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship. We had Charlotte defending against Bayley, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. Oh, goodness. Excuse me for that sip of water. So, this match, amazing. For a women's wrestling match, it was outstanding. And week in and week out on NXT, the developmental divas continue to outshine the main roster divas. Even on their worst days, the NXT divas outperform the WWE divas by three times. It's amazing and dumbfounded how the main roster divas don't get enough time to show off their talents and stuff like that, but that's what NXT's for. In 1 hour, they can put in a 5 to 10 minute divas match and outshine the WWE divas who get like 2 minutes. It's dumbfounded. On a 3-hour show, no less. 2 minutes for a divas match on a 3-hour show. And that's sometimes, for 2 divas matches, only 2 minutes each for those. I don't know, but enough about main roster divas not being able to showcase their talents. This women's match was outstanding. We had a few interesting spots, high-flying spots from the divas. Sasha Banks doing a dive in the middle rope onto Becky Lynch and Bayley on the outside, and then Charlotte going over the top rope, doing a little cross-body of her own. Very, very cool. We had a hugplex from Bayley, the Bayley to belly, or hugplex, however you want to call it, from the top rope onto Charlotte, and then I'm pretty much talking about the finish here, because the finishing the last 2 to 3 minutes were probably the best I've ever seen in any women's wrestling match. The dives on the outside, the top rope Bayley to belly, and then, oh my god, Sasha Banks' crossface on Charlotte. Oh my god, looked so, oh god. Really showing off Charlotte's flexibility, but, oh my god, that had to hurt. Charlotte must have been sore after that. But then, Charlotte, kind of started getting out of the crossface, and Sasha Banks surprised Charlotte and grabbed her, rolled her up for the 1-2-3. Sasha Banks, the boss, finally becoming the NXT Women's Champion. Long overdue for Sasha Banks. It's about time. Sasha Banks has grown tremendously as a worker down in NXT, and it's her time. It is her time to shine. I am very excited to see her reign as the NXT Women's Champion. It's going to be very, very interesting. Looking forward to what comes next for Sasha as the champion. I assume they're probably going to have her and Becky Lynch break off from each other, and they'll have them feud, probably after Charlotte gets her rematch for the title. And I assume after Charlotte loses her rematch, hopefully loses her rematch, I'd hate for them to hot potato the women's title. Hopefully after Charlotte's loss in a rematch, she comes up to the main roster, does her thing. Hopefully they treat her better than the other divas, since kind of sucks. I'd rather be promoted to NXT than promoted to the main roster, if that makes any sense. Because NXT, they treat you better, clearly, as far as divas go. But nonetheless, Sasha Banks winning the title, congratulations to her. And then in the main event of TakeOver Rival, we had Sami Zayn defending the NXT Championship against Kevin Owens. Destined forever, whether friends or foes, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This match, while not their best wrestling-wise, on a story perspective, their best match ever told story-wise. Kevin Owens, he promised 2 months to the day that he would become the NXT champion and pretty much destroy Sami Zayn, and that is exactly what Kevin Owens did. Insane. Kevin Owens played mind games early on, in and out of the ring, trying not to, have Sami Zayn gain momentum. You had a few cool spots. Sami Zayn going over the referee on the top rope, over to the outside on Kevin Owens. Owens going for the swanton and missing. Well, not exactly missing, but getting hit in the back with Sami Zayn's knees. And then the finish. What was it? The first powerbomb, I believe, that pretty much knocked out Sami Zayn, or was it all the punches? I think it was one powerbomb and then all the punches. But Owens hit a powerbomb, just delivered vicious rights and lefts to Sami Zayn, and you could tell after the first powerbomb and a couple punches that Sami Zayn was pretty much out of it, whether real or not. But still, Sami Zayn, his eyes were glazed over. Like, you could tell he wasn't exactly all there. I think Owens hit 10 power bombs in total after that point, somewhere around there, 9 or 8 to 10 power bombs. And medical staff ended up coming out, and they basically told the ref that Sami Zayn can't go anymore. The ref stopped the match. Kevin Owens was declared the new NXT champion. Now, a lot of people were confused by why Sami Zayn had such a short reign. Now, I know there are a few people, friends of the show, Nick Gator, Corey Santiago, at the Gator Pit. They would agree that Sami Zayn is better as the babyface chasing the championship, and I agree with that statement. It's kind of hard to explain, but Sami Zayn is probably more of an ultimate underdog than what people see in Daniel Bryan, and it's a much better story, I think, how they're handling Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens than anything with Daniel Bryan, even though I do love my boy D. Bry, but still, Sami Zayn is probably the ultimate underdog in wrestling history, as of now, since he's no longer the champion. But, yeah, it's interesting. The reason, basically, why Sami Zayn had to drop the title, I guess he didn't have to, but the reason they took the title off of Sami Zayn, is because, obviously, it builds up Kevin Owens, but also, Sami Zayn has been booked to do the, UAE tour that WWE's doing. Their first show is tonight, actually. They're doing 3 shows over there. Zayn's been booked to do this tour for, I want to say a few months now? Maybe a few weeks? I'm gonna say months, but he's been booked to do this tour for a while, and he was actually doing promotional work over there before doing TakeOver. He flew in Monday, and he appeared on the WWE app during Raw for a backstage thing. But he did promotional work, he flew in Monday, and pretty much as soon as TakeOver ended, he flew back over to do the tour, so he couldn't appear at the tapings that are gonna occur tonight, and that would mean he'd be off TV for at least a full month, so it makes sense just to write him off and have build up Owens as a monster that took out the ultimate hero of NXT, Sami Zayn. And then, obviously, they're doing more tapings on the 18th, so next Wednesday, 6 days from now, they're going to do more tapings. And by then, Sami Zayn should be done with other tours of, flying back and stuff. So I assume Sami Zayn's going to return probably on taping 2 or 3 on the 18th. Maybe on the first taping, I don't know. But Actually, I wouldn't say that unless tonight, during the tapings, we get Finn Balor getting a shot at the NXT title. Then I would say that Sami Zayn would appear for the 18th taping on the first one. But if not, if Balor doesn't get his shot tonight on the 4th show or the 3rd show, I'm going to go ahead and say Sami won't appear until the 3rd or 4th show on the 18th taping, so... But yeah, Kevin Owens won the NXT Championship. He promised 2 months to the day. Not many heels in wrestling actually retain their promises and keep them and go through with it. So, pretty interesting show overall. A lot of people would say that it's not better than our Evolution. I could see that in most cases, but I said on Twitter the TakeOver shows, they just keep getting better and better. And, no doubt in my mind that whatever happens next, whichever takeover occurs next, I'm sure that would be great as well. It's interesting. I would like to see Balor and Owens face off for the title on the next takeover, but I don't think they're gonna rush that next month or anything. I think the next takeover is probably gonna be in May to, mirror last year. So I don't think they'll wait that long. I think Balor will get his shot probably in mid-March. Whether it's... Well, it would have to be on the tapings, in mid-March. Mid to late March, I would go ahead and say. And, Sami Zayn would return, build that up. Maybe Balor would say, he still has... maybe the match would be close between Balor and Owens. And Balor would basically prove his case to have a rematch. Maybe do a triple threat. Balor, Owens, and Zayn. I don't know. It's interesting, very interesting nonetheless. But we've been going for nearly 30 minutes now. I think I'm going to wrap things up here. So, pretty much run down TakeOver. We had Hideo Itami go over Tyler Breeze. We had Baron Corbin going over Bull Dempsey. We had, Blake and Murphy going over the Lucha Dragons to retain the NXT Tag Team titles. We had Finn Balor going over Adrian Neville to become the #1 contender for the NXT Championship at a future date. We had Sasha Banks winning the Fatal 4-Way match to become the NXT Women's Champion. And then we had Kevin Owens defeating Sami Zayn, knocking him out, KO'd, knocking out Sami Zayn, and referee stopping the match in order to become the new NXT champion. So that is going to do for this edition of the Xcess podcast. Let us know on social media what you thought of NXT Takeover Rival, and use the hashtag #XcessPodcast to talk about this show if you're listening. Thank you all for tuning in. I've been James Rolls, and I will catch you next time.